What is going on, guys? My name is Chris. You're watching Hot Take Hockey, and this is the Stanley Cup Finals preview 2019. That's right. This thing is on the line now. So we'll see. Obviously, this isn't the current Stanley Cup. This is an older one, but pretty cool nonetheless. One of these teams will be looking to get their hands on it either for the first or the seventh time. It is the Boston Bruins. It is the St. Louis Blues. And if you ask me, obviously personally, because I'm a Bruins fan, of course I want to see the Bruins in the Stanley Cup final. But I think from a neutral point of view, obviously I know the Bruins aren't a very, what's the word I'm looking for, a popular team amongst the other fan bases. But I think in terms of, two teams that probably are going to have very even, close games between each other, you couldn't have really asked for a better matchup, in my opinion anyways. I've really wanted to see St. Louis in the finals, or at least go deep in the playoffs for a long time now. I believe they've made the playoffs the most times since their inception, or they've missed the playoffs the least amount of times since their inception or something like that, which is pretty crazy because they've been around since, 67? But no, the Blues they've always had so many good teams, really great players, and for some reason they just hadn't been able to crack the finals. But finally they're back for the first time since 1970 when they played the Boston Bruins, of course. That was the Bobby Orr year. Everyone knows, probably one of the most iconic moments in hockey history. But enough rambling. We're going to preview this series going down in 2019. Which starts Monday, the 27th of May. So we got a few days here, so we're going to tee it up. And other than that, I'll start with the Blues because I don't want to make it seem too biased towards the Bruins. So we'll get the Blues love in here first. So where we start. So the Blues have played 19 games in these playoffs, winning 12, of course, and losing 7. So they beat the Winnipeg Jets in 6. They beat the Dallas Stars in 7, and they beat the San Jose Sharks in 6 again. During these games, they have scored 57 goals. This is for all 3 rounds so far. 57 goals for, 48 goals against, and that totals to a +9 goal difference. And then when you look at goals per game, goals for per game anyways, they're averaging 3 on the dot, and goals against per game, they're averaging 2.5, just over 2.5, 2.53 goals against per game. Their power play is sitting at roughly 19.4% right now, and their penalty kill is 78%. And Binnington is facing about 28.4 shots per game. Of course, these are all averages, but that's actually pretty good. If a goalie's facing less than 30 shots a game in the playoffs, the defense is doing something right. So in terms of individual players now, Jaden Schwartz leads the way in goals for the St. Louis Blues in these playoffs with 12, actually. Those make up 12 of his 16 points, which is pretty incredible. But he's having a really good playoffs, which started all the way back in that Winnipeg series. He was incredible in that series. And he's been really good throughout the playoffs. Can't really fault him on a lot. Ryan O'Reilly has 14 points. Tarasenko has 13 points. Perron has 13 points. Pietrangelo has 13 points. Parayko has 11 points. And Tyler Bozak, former Toronto Maple Leaf. I know we have a lot of Leafs fans. A lot of Leaf fans on this channel. So I'm sure a lot of you guys will be rooting for him. 10 points for Tyler Bozak. So that is a grand total of 7 players for the St. Louis Blues with 10 points or more in these playoffs. And then Jordan Binnington. What a turnaround from him. It's funny because a year ago he was actually playing, well, not quite a year ago, but just over a year ago, he was playing for the Providence Bruins, of course the AHL team of the Boston Bruins. And he had bounced around the AHL for a long time. Obviously, the St. Louis Blues drafted him. I believe it was in 2011. And, he's just been an AHLer really his whole career until now. He's finally gotten his chance, and boy, as he grabbed it with 2 hands. But anyways, his numbers in these playoffs are really, really good for a rookie. 914 save percentage, 2.37 goals against average. In series clinching games this postseason, he's 3-0-0. 900 save percentage against the Winnipeg Jets. Obviously, that game was 3-0. Yeah, it was 3-0 for a really long time, and the Winnipeg Jets scored 2 late goals. So really, I don't think that number, the 900, really gives you an idea of how good he was in that game. It was just until that last 6 minutes or so. And then against Dallas, 967. Again, only gave up that 1 goal. And Dallas didn't really get a lot of rubber on the net, but he was still really good. And then, of course, San Jose, it was a 962. That was the other night. Of course, San Jose only scoring the 1 goal in that game as well. And all of his series clinching games have been at home for Jordan Binnington. So there's something to consider. But that is the Blues, just some of the numbers. We're going to get into the Boston Bruins now. So the Bruins have played 17 games in these playoffs, winning 12 and losing 5. So they've played 2 less games than the St. Louis Blues, but I mean, it's not going to make a huge difference. So they beat the Leafs in 7, of course. They beat the Jackets in 6 and the Hurricanes in 4. Goals for 57. So they've actually scored as many goals as the St. Louis Blues have in these playoffs. However, goals against, the Bruins have given up 33 goals against. They have a plus 24 goal difference in these playoffs. That's really big. And a lot of that we'll get on to in a second is because of Tuukka Rask. But the Bruins have played good team defense as well in these playoffs. I think that can't be overlooked. They've really been clogging up the lanes. They've been forcing shots from bad areas. But when they have, teams have had the opportunities, Tuukka Rask has come up huge. So they're averaging about 3.35 goals per game, so a bit better than St. Louis there. And then 1.94 goals against average, not for Rask, but for the Bruins in these playoffs as a team. Power play percentage is sitting at 34%. That is of course, it's the best remaining in these playoffs because there's only 2 teams. But power play has been really good all playoffs. I think even if you include every team that was eliminated, I think the Bruins are still the best power play. And then penalty kill is 86.3. So they're beating St. Louis in both special teams on the in terms of numbers. Tuukka Rask is facing 32.4 shots against per game. So 4 more on average than Jordan Binnington. Just thought that was interesting. Looking at points now, Patrice Bergeron actually has the most goals for the Bruins in these playoffs with 8. Marchand and Pastrnak both have 7. They have Marchand has 18 points. Pastrnak has 15 points. Krejci has 14 points. Bergeron has 13 points. Coyle has 12 points. And Torrey Krug has 12 points as well. So you have, 6 skaters there to St. Louis's 7 with 10 plus points. All but 3 Bruins have scored in these playoffs. I thought that was interesting as well. I believe it's Brandon Carlo, John Moore, and Carson Coleman who haven't scored in these playoffs yet for the Boston Bruins. So the Bruins have had a lot of depth scoring. Charlie Coyle, Marcus Johansson have been really good acquisitions, and they've been a really big reason why they've gotten this far. So they're getting a lot. Everyone's chipping in, which is what you need at this time of year, let's be honest. You can't get here on one line, really. So Tuukka Rask, 9.42 save percentage through these playoffs, 1.84 goal against average. In series clinching games, he's 3-0 as well. Are you ready? 970 save percentage against the Toronto Maple Leafs in Game 7. That was the John Tavares goal. If you remember that, it was a John Moore mistake, which gave Tavares a good look. He scored. And that is the only goal he has allowed in a series clinching game in these playoffs. I believe he's faced 96 shots and he stopped 95. Yes, he got a shutout against Columbus in Columbus, and he got a shutout against Carolina in Carolina. He has been lights out in these playoffs. There is no denying that if the Boston Bruins win the Stanley Cup, he will win the Conn Smythe Trophy. There's not a doubt in my mind. All of these games, by the way, both shutouts have been on the road, and the Toronto game was in Boston. So I just thought it was interesting that both the shutouts were at the opposition's arena. So I don't want to drag this video on too long. It's been 10 minutes already. So I'm just going to give you my prediction because I think this is really well balanced. This is going to be a good Stanley Cup Finals. It will not disappoint. I know over the years we've had some that have only gone like 5 games or whatever. I can see this one going 7 for sure. And that's what I have actually. I expect it to be all the games I expect to be close, tight games, probably see a lot of overtime games. And that's credit to the goaltending. I think both goaltenders are going to be playing lights out, and it'll really be them stealing the spotlight. I think whoever wins the series, probably their goaltender will end up with the Conn Smythe. And I'm going to take the Boston Bruins in 7 games. Hopefully I didn't jinx that. If I did, this is going to be a bit of a meme in the summer, but I just think home ice is going to be pretty big for the Boston Bruins, and I think having home ice is the first Stanley Cup final they'll have had home ice for in, I don't even know, a very long time. They didn't have home ice against the Blackhawks. They didn't have home ice against the Canucks. And I just think the Boston Bruins having home ice might be the most important factor in this series. Because for me, you can't really split these teams otherwise. Forwards are both very, very good, skilled groups. Special teams are good enough. Maybe the Bruins edge it a little bit. Goaltending, I think the Bruins have the edge, but not by a lot. And defenses are very, very good both ways. So I guess we'll see. Maybe injuries will take a toll. I expect to be a heavy-hitting series. Lots of guys who can throw the body around on either side. And, of course, David Backes, by the way, I didn't mention this, but David Backes, ironically, playing in his first Stanley Cup Finals against the team who he had spent his whole career with up until this point. But anyways, guys, again, I said Bruins in 7. I'll stick to it. But may the best team win in this series. Good luck if you're a Blues fan. And yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this preview, guys. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy. Comment your thoughts down below. I want to see who you think are winning, who you think is gonna win the Stanley Cup in 2019. Subscribe if you're new, and yeah, hopefully you guys have a very nice day. Peace.